with the layout template design in Photoshop. And last time, tutorial number 2, I went ahead and brought the logo into the layout, but it seemed the recording seemed to have cut off with about 1.5 minutes left of the video, so I'm not sure how that happened. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that last step, and that is to bring in the logo and place it on the header. It's pretty easy to do. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a smart object out of this. So I'm just going to select all the layers here. I'm going to right click, convert to smart object, and then I'm going to simply bring this layer over. Okay, you notice I'm just dragging that layer onto the banner here, or onto the header. And remember, the logo fits right inside this object here. All right. I think the last thing I'll do is, well, first of all, I'm going to close the logo. Don't need that anymore. And then I'm going to go into my design here, and I accidentally put it in the navigation button folder, so I'm just going to drag that out and put it up top. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and double click that, and I think what I'll do is I think I'll go ahead and put a drop shadow on these layers. I'm going to first merge this, right click and merge those layers, and I think I'll just put, like I said, a drop shadow and say OK and save it. Okay, and there it is. Alright, so really what this third tutorial is about is, the main feature is to slice it up, but I think what we need to do is first add a couple columns, and we'll do that first by taking the rounded rectangle tool, and I'm going to choose this third icon here called Fill Pixels, and I'm going to add a shape to my layers palette, or add a layer to my layers palette. I'm going to call this left column. Okay, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to drag out a rounded rectangle, and there's going to be a nice area around that rectangle. You can always take the move tool and sort of nudge it in with your arrow keys. Okay, now I'm going to control click this thumbnail here, get some ants around it, and I'm going to choose a gradient. And you can do anything you want. That's purely your decision how you want this to look. I wouldn't get too crazy with the design, because after all, this area is going to hold text on our website. Okay, I'm going to I did something wrong here. Undo. What I meant to do is add a new layer, and I'm going to call this right column, and I'll do pretty much the same thing. Take my rounded rectangle tool, and I'm going to drag out a larger rectangle again to span this right side here, and again move tool and nudge it a little bit so that it looks like it's even. I'm going to select these two layers, and what I want to do is vertical align the vertical center, and it looks pretty good. Actually, I'm going to choose align top edges. There we go. And then I'm going to control click this right side here, control click that thumbnail, and I'll take that gradient and do the same thing. You're going to stretch that out. Now it looks like the opposite way, so I just want to keep it consistent and go the other side. Looks good. And now I'm ready for the slice tool. Okay? Now the slice tool allows us to cut up this design individually and save these as individual images. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with this upper area known as the logo, and I'm just going to hold, click, and drag it down. And you can see the first thing that happens, we get this little label 01. I'm going to double click that label, and I'm going to call it logo. And right here, I know the height is 100, but it says 101, so I want to make sure I change that to 300 width, 100 height, X and Y values both at 0. Okay, click OK, and we're just going to keep on going with this. So I'm going to drag out this section here to include my button. I'm going to double click it. I'm going to call this Home Button. And I'm going to make that height 100. Again, width is 100, height is 100, X is 300, Y is 0. Click OK. And I'm just going to keep slicing away. And I'm going to double click, call this, let's see, I forgot what this is called. This is called Photoshop. Now you're going to name yours according to whatever your button is. Okay, so you may not have the same orders. That's something that you're going to have to check. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to keep going, double click. I'm going to call this Illustrator button. Okay, we need proper names for this, and I'm going to make this 100, click OK, and we're just going to keep rolling. And I'm going to double click this, call this Flash button, and again 101 needs to become 100. So look at these numbers here, click OK, and then I'm going to go ahead and double click the About Me button. And X is 700, width and height is 100, click OK. And then I'm going to need to do 3 more, and I'm going to do this left column, the right column, and the footer. Okay? Everything has to be selected and sliced. Call this left column, and we're going to make this 100 for the Y coordinate, and the height needs to be 450, and I'm going to click OK. And then the right column, double click, 450 for the height, 580 for the width, 100 for the Y, 220 for the X. We're going to call this right column and click OK. One more, we have the footer, and double click, and we're going to call this footer, and we'll do 550 and 50 and click OK. And we have everything sliced, everything is selected. And the reason why we want everything is so that we don't leave any gaps when we import this into Dreamweaver. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and go to File. I can save the whole thing, but then we're going to go ahead and do File, Save for Web and Devices. Okay, when we get that dialog box shortly, and there it is, we're going to go ahead and do Fit on Screen down here in the corner so we can see everything. And I'm going to do Control A to select all. Control A, make sure everything is selected. And I'm just going to keep these as a JPEG. Okay. Normally I would probably select different things depending on how the image looks, but since it's all sort of graphic and there's some drop shadows, I'll just choose everything as a JPEG. It's probably higher than we want in terms of its size, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and click Save and make sure it's saved into the proper folder. So I'm going to go to my Dreamweaver and choose Decon TPS Layouts, and we're going to just save it outside of that Assets folder. You're just going to save it directly to this folder. I'm going to call this Index, and we're going to make sure this says HTML and Images. Okay, so choose this, because what we want is we want the overall index page as well as an image, all the images that we selected with our slice tool. And there's going to be a folder that is created by itself called Images. So we're going to save this. Okay, and it will be in your folder, but here's what we got to do. We got to turn off our regular buttons that you see here, because now we got to save all of our roll effects. Remember, we're going to create a roll effect in Dreamweaver. And so now I've got all those changed out. I'm going to go ahead and select the old slices that we don't need, because otherwise it'll just make a double, and we don't want a double. And so I'm going to go back up to File, Save for Web and Devices, and I'm going to zoom out. So I'm going to go to Fit on Screen, and I'm just going to Control click, actually Shift click these buttons. So you need all 5 of these, and I'm going to save these again as JPEG. And down here now, we just want images only. We don't want that HTML creating an additional page. So just choose images only. And the naming doesn't matter, because what I'm going to do is delete those. Again, you just don't worry about saving a folder. Click Save. And let's see, some of the files already exist. Cancel. Let's see. I'm going to have to pause the video and see what's going on. I'm sorry. You know what? You're going to have to cancel the save for web and devices, because what we forgot to do, or sorry, what I forgot to do, is select these and call these differently. That's why I wanted to replace all those images. So I'm going to call this roll home. Click OK. And I'm going to call this roll photo. So that's all we have to do. We just have to rename all those buttons. The sizes will be fine because we never adjusted those slices. This will be Roll Illustrator. This will be Roll Flash. And this one is Roll About for the About Me rollover. Okay? Now it should work. We'll go to File and hit the wrong thing. Cancel that. Sorry, I messed up. File, Save for Web and Devices. And again, let's lower the zoom factor here, and we'll just shift click these 5. Make sure only these 5 are selected. Click Save and click Save. Images only. Don't worry about the name because we've already named them. And then I'm going to save this, and I'm just going to close the layout because we don't need it anymore. You can save the layout. No harm in doing that. I'm going to go into my Dreamweaver folder. I'm going to look at all the files that I have just sliced and saved. And let's see, it should be in this folder. There's my index. And then let's see the images. Okay? Here are all the images. Now I can eliminate these two called Layout Template 1 and 7. Those were the extra ones. I can also get rid of this spacer one. So I'm going to just click or hit delete. And I'm going to say yes. And here are all those roll states that we created. Here's the logo. Here's a Photoshop button, left column, right column. So it looks like everything is there. Okay? And the next tutorial will show you how to import all these into your Dreamweaver. All right? Thanks for watching. Hope that helped. Be sure to ask me any questions if you don't understand something in the video. All right? Thanks again.